Hi, hope you guys are doing well. So today we'll be creating this laser charging and firing effect. I'll be explaining a bit of patterns, so after that you will be able to create your own patterns on how to create these effects. Before we get started, please subscribe to my channel. It's a small channel and it won't cost you anything. Thank you. If you want to use the same robot as I am, you can download the robot from Sketchfab. I'll have the link in the description below. So first of all, I'll just create a new collection in Blender, and then file, import .gltf, and there we have our robot. So I'll just move the entirety of the robot into this collection for better management, and after that I will just move its armature into the center of the canvas. So when you hit render, you can see it's already textured. You can turn off the armatures if you want, or you can keep them. It's all up to you. I'm not going to be messing up with the robot in this tutorial. You can actually do that yourself if you want to. The one thing I'm going to change is, however, is this beak of this beak. I don't like it. I'll just delete this front part and I'll just keep it like this. So the first thing we need to do is create our laser, and I'll just add a new collection, name it laser, and I'll select the beak first, and then just go to wireframe mode, select these faces, and then click on Shift S and then cursor to select it. This way all the things I need will be appearing over here, and it will make the work a lot easier for me to handle. So now I'll just select the laser texture collection again, and then Shift A, mesh, cylinder. I'll just go with 16 vertices because again it will be just a simple emission shader. Change it to emission, and let's just go with a red color and bump up the strength to 5. And also you can turn on bloom for this, and for the different effects you can turn on and off motion blur before rendering. It will give you different results. So now I'll just scale it down, and then on the top view I will just go RX90 and then RZ45, maybe RZ60. Yes, that's all right. And I'll make this as small as the beak. This way the red will be easily hidden. Now I'll go into the shape keys tab. Before I go do that, I'll just go into wireframe and make this laser hide inside over here. Then click on plus to create the base shape key. This is the basis of it. Then click on plus again, and I will click on GX50, GX10, and then GY minus 10. So now when I move the shape key, it's like a firing animation. Now I click on plus again, and now we're going to change the relative base key from basis to key 1 on the second key. And I'll just go into edit mode again. Maybe I'll just change, and move all of them to GX10 again and GY minus 10. So now when I fire this, it looks like a red laser is being fired. So now that we're done with this basic stuff, let's create the charging effect. So I'll first of all create Shift A, mesh, and a UV sphere. It has to be small, about over here, and this is basically going to be our particle killer. I'll just call it particle dead, and we're going to go into the physics tab, collisions, and then select kill particle, so that our particles as soon as they come in contact with it just die. And I'll give it new material, and it's just going to be this transparent BSDF blend mode to alpha clip, shadow mode to alpha clip, so that we don't see its shadow over itself. And now next one, I'm going to create the particles. So shift a mesh, and I'm going to go with a circle RX90 RZ60, so that it's in the same direction as the bot space, and I'll just scale it about over here. So in one of the videos, in one of the firing animations, you saw that the particles were randomly appearing. You can also either go with the circular one, or you can add in an add modifier and displace modifier, new, and go with the texture like clouds or Voronoi. These are the two ones I usually prefer, and then add in another subdivision surface modifier, just one. Once you apply these, the particles will be randomly appearing, so you have to apply this before we get into the particle system, or you can just go with the default simple circular one shape if you want. I'll just go with the complex one for now and apply both of these, and then create a particle system. And in the laser tab, I'll just going to shift a mesh icosphere, and I'll just go with a single subdivision, give it the same material as the laser one, and then move it downwards. This is going to be our laser charging particle. I'll just call it charge. Now back to the particle system. First thing we need to change is this number. We can change it to like something like 100 for starters. And the source, the most important thing is source, because in this circle doesn't have a faces. We'll change it to vertices, because the only thing it has is vertices, so the particles will be emitting from the vertices. The second thing is the field weights. Now the field weights, we're going to remove the gravity, because we don't want the gravity to affect it. Also, you can, if you have multiple things firing at a time, you can place your effectors in this collection. So I'll also change the render from halo to object, and the object is going to be our icosphere. Now I'll change the start frame to something like 10 and the end frame to something like 25. And let's also now I'm going to be adding a new collection, and I'm going to be adding a shift a force field. So the force field by default is the value is 1. Well, I'll just say what it's going to be doing. I'll just go into rendered view. See, now they're moving outward. We want them to move inward, so they can give us this charging sword effect. So the force field, if positive, moves the particles away from it, but if we go into -1, it will cause the particles to come towards itself. So now if I play back, as you can see, they're coming towards it. Now their lifetime, actually the particles lifetime, it doesn't look good, so I'll just change the lifetime to something like 100. Maybe even change the forces value to something stronger like -3. Now let's just see. As you can see, now they're all just disappearing. Why are they disappearing? Because we had the particle dead object. It kills them as soon as they touch the particles. That a few other settings we can play with is the scale randomness, and maybe change the scale to something like 0.03. And now let's see how it looks. Much better. So at frame 50, our particles are almost over. So at that time, I'm going to go into the laser one and click over cylinder. This is my laser. I'll just name it to laser 2 for easier understanding. And the value of the shape key, I'll just set it to from in the value 0. I'll add in a keyframe. Then at frame 60, I guess 10 frame is good. You can make it higher or lower depending on what you want, and then change the value to 1, and then add another keyframe. Then on frame, let's say I want a little variation, so on frame 53, I'll go on key 2, add in a keyframe, and instead of 60, now I'm going to go into 63 to give it an offset, and then finish it off, and then add the keyframe, and then select all of these keyframes, click right click, and interpolation mode linear. So now let's see how our effects looks like. You see, now for the you can also add in other options as well, like in the force field over here. Let's just say I need to address something else as well. Let's just say I add in a shift A force field and a vortex. Now the vortex is placed inside the main collection. Now let's just see what happens. You see, it looks sort of weird, sort of off, or we can just move the vortex over here if you really want to test it out, and I'll bump up its strength to something high like 25, and you see all the particles are flying towards it. I'll just bump it to something like 10 so we can easily see them, because they're all moving towards the vortex. So what if I don't want these particles to be affected by this vortex? So to do that, I'll go into particle settings, and in the effector collection I'll just select the collection 6, which is the force collection. So this way it will only be affected by the force field and not by the vortex. And speaking of the vortex, I'll just change its strength to something like 1 again and put it back in the collection, or maybe I'll just delete it and re-add it. Force field, force, and I'll go with RX90 again and RZ60 again, and bump the strength to 2. So now when the animation plays, you'll see that the particles will rotate and come in a much better looking way. Now you can see that the particles are flying around. This is because the particle dead one is too small, so I'll make it bigger and then I'll replay it. The particle dead object is small, so now it starts to kill them more easily. Actually, if I move it this way, you see, it actually killed them all. Also, you don't have to use the icosphere or UV sphere for the charging effect. You can actually use torus, planes with different shapes to get different kinds of variety of effects. Now for the circular blast effect. So the first thing we will need for that is shift A, mesh. You can go with UV sphere or icosphere. I'll just go with an icosphere, and I'll change the subdivisions to 3. Shader or smooth, it doesn't exactly matter, and then I'll just give it 1 level of subdivision surface and then apply it. I'll give it the same material, I'll give it the material of the laser, and then I'm just going to scale it about this size, or you can change the size to however you want. So basically what we actually need to do is, as you can see, the particles are coming out, and then when they are about over here, when all of the particles are disappeared, this means that the circular ball thing is charged. So I'm going to add in a keyframe on the scale of this over here, and when it's charging, when the particles are outside about over here, when the particles are pretty close, I'll actually just S and 0, and then add in keyframes over here, and then change the interpolation mode to linear. You can actually play around with this again. So now it's giving the effect that the particles are charging the energy sphere. And the next thing, after it's charged, you can actually add in a keyframe on the location like this, and then I'll just move a GX over here, actually changing the timeline, and then GX over here, and then add in keyframes. Oops. And then again go into interpolation mode and linear. So now let me play back for you. This looks good. You can also play around with the graph editor, but this is good enough for the basic effect. Also you can change the pattern of this circle to get different results. You can also play around with different sorts of foil fields to get different effects. So I hope you like this video. I'll see you next time. Please like, comment and subscribe. Goodbye. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like, comment and subscribe to my channel, and watch another one of my videos, as that's how the YouTube algorithm works. It's a small channel and it won't cost you anything. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.